Now, this is the political view. There's speculation of heated discussions at the ANC's Special National Executive Committee meeting on Monday. The party's candidate list submitted to the Electoral Commission of South Africa is under the spotlight, and the window for lodging objections to the candidates on the list closes on Tuesday. The ANC Secretary General Ace Magashule earlier confirmed that the party's list will be discussed. Professor Tinyiko Maluleke joins us now on the line to look at this meeting and other issues that are likely to come up. So let's first start with, what are the chances of this list changing?
Well, nothing can be ruled out, but I think for now we have to take this list as the official list of the ANC, because the ANC cannot chop and change its way to the election too much. But clearly, it is a controversial list. At least, let me say, some names on it are very controversial.
So this brings me to the next question. What would the party have to weigh up in deciding whether some names should stay or go, and whether it would be to the benefit and health of the party? Well,
we all know that the list is a function of the factions inside of the ANC, at least the shape of it as we have it now. There is that attempt to cater for everybody, to cater for all factions, or one should say for both factions, because we know that there are at least two very powerful factions. And it is therefore, that is the rationale for the list as we have it. But the list is a very important thing, almost as important as the manifesto, the election manifesto, because if you like, this is another kind of manifesto. It's the mini manifesto. It's what the ANC, or any party for that matter, says to the electorate, saying these are the people who we are going to entrust the country to if you elect us. These are the people who are sending to parliament. So it's a very important list in that sense.
So that's also the other question, Prof. Do people, the electorate, pin their hopes on a party, or do they vote for an individual that the party is fielding?
Well, effectively, they can't vote for the individual. It's not possible in our current electoral system. They can only vote for a party. And that's the problem. That needs to be fixed at another time. So the power of the brand, the track record of the party, is what's going to carry the day ultimately. So people are going to vote for, as many people have been quoted saying, for the party of Mandela, or the party of Holomisa, or the party of Mangosuthu Buthelezi. That's the level at which the individual comes into play. Low down, I don't think that's how people vote. They vote for the party and for the brand.
Let's talk about brand ANC. How much trouble is it in, really, given the current environment? There are various commissions of inquiry. A lot of that has to do with alleged fraud, alleged or corrupt officials. How much is that mud sticking, especially when the opposition parties are campaigning on that ticket of anti-corruption and pointing to the ANC as a guilty party?
I think the ANC is taking a beating, but I don't think that they are taking a beating from the opposition parties, as it were. I think that the opposition parties will do what they can to exploit the current troubles of the ANC, which you have rightly listed, the commissions of inquiry, the scandals that keep on breaking out, that involve leaders, senior leaders of the party. I think the real trouble is brewing inside of the ANC. So once again, the ANC is standing against the ANC. It is those factions within the ANC and how they utilize or not utilize the information that is coming out, how they encourage or not encourage people to vote for the ANC, either by what they say or what they do or who they are in terms of the characters that are being revealed.
How wide are those fissures within the ANC? There are allegations, rumours suggesting that there is still a pro-Zuma, anti-Cyril Ramaphosa camp or camps within the party, and that some of those are not willing to campaign, hit the ground running for the party ahead of elections, that they are possibly looking at a campaign to take away votes from the party so that Cyril Ramaphosa wears that albatross at the end of the election period and results.
Well, the irony of that approach, Tepiso, is that if the ANC loses votes and eventually loses an election, all of the factions of the ANC will lose. That is the irony and the short-sightedness of that kind of approach to national elections within the ANC, insofar as there may be any truth to what you are saying. So one hopes that these rumors of people showing unwillingness to campaign, that these rumors are untrue, that they are not completely correct, that ANC leaders will recognize that unless the ANC wins, they actually have nothing to faction about. They have nothing to fight about unless the ANC wins. So everybody ought to be trying, who is a member of the ANC and a leader of the ANC, ought to be trying to get the ANC to win. But, as an observer, as a neutral observer, one observes these things and wonders what the wisdom of it all might be.
So let's talk about the wisdom. I mentioned earlier on, or asked, what would the party have to weigh in order to win the hearts and minds of South Africans at the polls? And by its own acknowledgement, the ANC says that there is a problem. I want to point to this book by Peter Louis Myburgh, that gangster state about Ace Magashule's alleged corruption. How strategic is that release in relation to the upcoming elections, but also looking at those camps and looking who's suitable to be fielded? How does that play into some of those arguments?
Tsepiso, I wouldn't read too much into the timing of the release of the book. The release of a book such as this would never be timely for the ANC. It doesn't matter whether you release it before, during, or after the election. It's a bad book insofar as it is a book about the General Secretary of the party. I haven't read all of the book yet. I have it on Kindle. I've read the first two parts of the book, and I can tell you that what I've read so far is not does not flatter
enough. So, but then there's also just the face of the ANC as being a corrupt party, because it's not only just one individual. There's a book about the Deputy President, Didi Mabuza. Then there are allegations of corruption against Andile Ramaphosa around the whole Bosasa issue. And obviously, by extension, that would be the president as well. How do the electorate decide what is fact and what is fiction?
Well, the electorate has never had so much information at its disposal in all of the elections that we have had since democracy. We have election manifestos. We've got these books that you are talking about. We've got commissions of inquiry. We've got revelation after revelation after revelation. In other words, there are alternative narratives that the electorate can go to, whether it's about the ANC or the DA or the EFF. Never have the electorate has had so much information, data to process and to assess characters and intentions of their leaders. So I don't think it's a bad thing for the electorate. I don't know that it's a good thing for the ANC and the other parties.
So would it be better for the other parties, just in terms of the politicization of corruption and the policies that the other parties would proffer in return, saying that they would be better off? Would it mobilize people to rather vote for them? This is basically what I'm asking.
Well, I think the opposition parties have an opportunity that they have never had before, just like the South African voter has an opportunity that he or she has never had before in terms of the amount of information and data available to them beyond the electoral manifestos. Whether the opposition parties will be able to successfully exploit this moment, given that some of them may be implicated, at least in some of the scandals of their own inside of their own parties, one will have to wait and see. But it certainly is an opportunity that they have never had before for a long, long time.
Just a final question there, Professor. What is the academic literature saying on perceptions of corruption and voter turnout? Is there a science to that? Is it as simple as people not being interested in voting in an environment where corruption seems to be the headline?
Well, I don't know that it could mobilize people to vote. I don't think it will necessarily negatively affect turnout, if that is what you are implying. For all I know, it could be that turnout becomes very positive. People go out to vote because they are upset, because they want to see change one way or the other, and because they think that this country can still be fixed.
Thank you very much for your time. Political analyst Professor Tinyiko Maluleke. This has been The Political View.